Got it. Doo-doo.
All right. I think we left off on Mishnah 20 in Pirkei Avot. And let's see what it says. Yehuda ben Tema Omer. Yehuda ben Tema used to say, Heve az kanamer vekal kanesher, be as strong as a leopard, as fast as an eagle. Rat katzvi vegibor ka'ari, run like a deer and be as brave as a lion. To do the will of your Father in heaven. Hu haya omer az panim legehenom uvoshet panim legan eden. He would also say, az panim. This is a very interesting expression, one that I have not heard. Az panim, someone who is strong-faced, and I imagine someone that that doesn't feel bad for something that they've done, possibly. Az panim, that they're stubborn, goes to Gehinom. But the opposite, uvoshet panim, someone who feels shame, goes to Gan Eden. Yiratzon milfanecha, Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu, sheyebane beit hamikdash b'mehera v'yameinu v'tein chalkeinu b'toratecha. So if you ever wanted to know where these words come from, they come from Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema. May it be your will, Hashem, that the Beit HaMikdash be rebuilt speedily in our days, and that we may take our portion of Torah within it. So that seems a little bit disjointed, like it kind of comes out of nowhere. I'm a firm believer that words are not just lopped, together, and that there is a thread between. So something to do with, serving Hashem, taking sort of characteristics from animals, and then don't be as panim. How does Sefaria translate as panim here?
I'm trying to look
arrogant.
I'm trying to look at the last part, the last week, where we said three things. We should be like disciples of Abraham.
Right.
A good eye, a humble spirit.
Yeah.
Okay, and a modest soul. So a humble spirit, but then after we're talking about we should be as brave as a lion, fleet as a gazelle, swift, but we were supposed to be humble.
Yeah, so do humble and bravery contradict each other?
It seems that way. Unless we're supposed to be humble day-to-day life, and then all of a sudden somebody comes up against us, and then we have to be brave, we have to be swift, we have to be bold. Is that how we're supposed to behave?
But it's not saying to behave that way. It's saying to behave that way to do the will of Hashem. So
good point.
It's not just saying to be brave on your own, like in day-to-day life. It's saying be this way so that you can go and do what you're supposed to do.
Okay. However, last week we learned, we should be disciples of Abraham, our father, who has these three things. Okay, the disciples of Abraham, our father, a good eye, a humble spirit, and a modest soul.
But even Avram Avinu, when it was time to go save Lot, he goes and he's brave and he fights.
Okay, so under normal conditions, we should be nice and humble, but as soon as somebody starts to rile us, we should be brave, swift, fleet. And brave as a lion.
Humble means not to show off, not to be a show off and hurt
that's
other
good.
people. It
I like
doesn't
that.
mean not to be courageous.
That's correct. I like that. That's good. When times come, when people attack us or whatever, we have to be like a leopard, eagle, gazelle, and lion. My
It's
God.
like the people of Israel, when they're going and doing things like in Haiti and helping people, they're not telling everybody, look what we are doing. They're humble about it, but they're courageous to go and help everyone. As they did send people, I heard to Miami for
Right.
when the house collapsed, because they have specially trained dogs that smell people. But they're
Good.
humble about it. They don't go yelling in the United Nations, we did this for you and we did that for you, and you should help us because we did that for you.
Maybe that we're doing it to a fault.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Personally,
good.
I don't see any contradiction. I think that being strong, being brave, being a leader is not being humble. I think if you say, look at me, I'm so strong, that perhaps isn't the best, but yeah.
Good. I like this. This is good.
And that's the next thing it says. It says the
Don't be arrogant, right?
So it's saying like to be that way, but not to boast about it. And not to shy away from it either.
Good.
Or
Good.
no,
Good.
the blushing is for so the blushing for the Garden of Eden. So you can say that maybe that's the part about being humble.
Mm-hmm.
Like don't show off about being strong.
Interesting. In the Sepharia Hebrew, it says Shetivne ircha bimhera v'yameinu, and I have in my Mishnah, I have Sheibane Beit Hamikdash bimhera v'yameinu. Interesting. So what's the connection to the building of the temple?
I think the connection is that we should continue building places of learning Torah, not necessarily the Beit Mikdash.
Well, doesn't it mean that if you do all these things to do the will of Hashem, then that should lead to Beit HaMikdash being rebuilt?
That's how I read it also. I see the first part as Ben Adam Lamakom, from service of God, and the Az Panim and the Boshet Panim Ben Adam Lechavero, that we shouldn't be arrogant to our fellow person. We should be Boshet Panim, people that are humble, that sort of feel shame, and if we do both things in earnest, then our temple will be rebuilt. Because we all know that the temples weren't destroyed because of lack of faith in God. It was a lack of faith in each other. So perhaps that's a connection.
Yeah. But it says your city. Isn't that your city?
It says Ircha. I mean, I assume that they mean Jerusalem. My Mishnah here says Beit HaMikdash b'mehera v'yameinu. So different strokes.
And everybody's right.
That's right, because it's all L'Shem Shamayim, right? Which we've seen. So Yehuda ben Tema goes on. This is another Mishnah credited to him. Hu haya omer ben. This is a very famous one. This is sort of formalized study. Ben chamesh shanim lamikra. At 5, one begins the study of Torah. Really. Ben 10 shanim laMishnah. At 10, the study of Mishnah. Ben 13 lamitzvot. At 13, one takes on mitzvot. Ben 15 lagmara. At 15, one should start learning Gemara. Ben 18 lachuppah. At 18, one gets ready for the chuppah. One gets ready to be married. Ben 20 lirdof. At the age of 20, someone should run after a career. I think it means life, work. Ben 30 lakoach. At age 30, one attains strength. Ben 40 labina. At 40, one attains a certain level of understanding. Ben 50 le'etza. At 50, one perhaps is able to give counsel. So I guess I'm not quite there yet, so I shouldn't counsel anybody. Ben 60 lazikna. At 60, someone achieves the status of zikna, which I think has slightly become perverted, because when we hear, elderly, it's perhaps not taken as a compliment. But I think that in the Mishnah, when they would call someone a zaken, it was on the same level as Rav and Moreh and like Nasi, right? They like the Zikenim were like revered.
The elders of a tribe are usually the smart people of the tribe.
That's it.
But you also have to remember the life expectancy in that time. So to be able to survive to your 60s and have the mental capacity was a big thing.
Yeah, true. Ben Shivim leseva. At 70, one achieves seva. They're full. They're full of age. Ben shmonim ligvura. At 80, one achieves gvura, strength.
That is surprising that he still has the strength to walk around.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Mishnah is saying that if you've hit 80,
and you're still walking and talking and eating, that means you're very, very strong.
And I don't even think it means only physical strength. Someone that has lived, and I've only lived half of that, but like someone that has lived and experienced loss, love, birth, death, separation, together. I mean, those experiences make you strong. And someone who's 80 has certainly experienced. Ben Tishim Lasuach. At 90, one is perhaps bent over a bit. At 90, a bent body. Ben Meya Ki Ilu Met. At 100, one.
As good as dead.
Ve'avar uvatel min ha'olam. At Meya, it's as if one has already passed away from this world.
Meaning people don't listen to you anymore, as if you're already gone. Because you're talking shtuyot.
Or perhaps the opposite is true. As someone who's 100 doesn't have the same outlook in this world as us, right? And if you've ever met someone, or if someone that age, they do what they want to do. They have no patience for any nourishkeit. They're the most honest people. They say it directly. There's no social filter. There's no, it's like, and perhaps that's not really the way of this world. This world, we're like a bit withdrawn. We're a bit guarded, Someone who's 100 and above is perhaps more tapped into the next world, where perhaps things are.
They don't care what people will say. They do what they want.
That's it.
My mother-in-law lived to 105. Let me tell you, every word here is exactly true. And not only the 100, even the 90 and the 80. I asked her not to walk in with wet feet to my kitchen because it's slippery. She said to me, I do what I want.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty straightforward Mishnah, bit of a guide as to education and to perhaps life and understanding.
It's interesting that so at 18 to be married, and then 20 for the pursuit of a livelihood, which is saying like 2 years of study,
Right.
and then to go out. Is that how I'm reading it? Is that how you see that?
I saw it 18 to the chuppah, and for the first year of marriage, you should be home. And in the second year of marriage, you should sort of start to head out and sort of figure things out. And that by 20, you should be ready to go after something.
So is that the expectations that the family supports or somebody supports the couple in
2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I think that we would sort of look at this as backwards, but they would look at us like we're completely backwards, right? It's now the thing is you go to school, you get your career, then you settle down, right?
But then the most important thing was studying Torah as soon as you were able to at 5.
Yeah.
Okay, and at 20, all right, you've studied. Now it's time you have a family. Hopefully you have a child by then. Then you have to go out and make a living.
Yeah, but I mean, even if you look at the secular school system, I mean, educational, curriculums really start at kindergarten when you're 5. It's nursery, pre-K. I mean, they do books and they do things like that, but it's not really formalized. And I feel like once the kids hit, kindergarten, it's like a different thing, and it's really prepping them for then grade 1. I mean, it's the same thing. But in our world, great at age 5, that was study of Torah. And by age 5, to begin study of Torah means you already have a bit of an understanding. Like I remember when my boys were each 2.5, and we were going to do the upshurin for their hair, and that's really when they started to learn brachas and shema and a kippah and tzitzit. And I would consider that studying Torah also, right? But really when they were 5, that's when they like really started to study it as a text and were like learning how to read. I'll like never forget Shaya, who's now 9, who's actually coming home from camp today. I haven't seen him or spoken to him in almost 7 weeks. It's crazy. When he was in kindergarten, they were doing this model Chagigat Seder for Pesach, and every kid got to do something. And so Shaya sort of had an apathy towards singing, and so the teacher asked him to do kiddush, and that was going to be the big one. And I think she expected that he would do Bori Pri Hagafen. So I hear that he gets kiddush. It's the first one. It's going to kick off the show. And I taught him the entire kiddush, and he got up when he was 5 years old in kindergarten and said the entire Pesach kiddush off by heart. And I mean, and I'll never forget how I was so amazed about what he could soak up and learn so quickly, Yeah, really, really unbelievable. Now he's going into grade 4. Yeah.
That's
like
it.
this
The
Mishnah.
kids keep getting older, but not us, right?
That's right. Oh, Ben Bugbug. I love Ben Bugbug. We don't really know who he is. We think it was some type of nickname, right? Like kids get in yeshiva or friends give to each other. I don't know if there's another time that we learn about Ben Bugbug. There's a Ben Hey also somewhere in the Mishnah. So what does he say? Ben Bugbug Omer hafoch ba, turn it around and turn it around. The kolaba, because everything is inside of it. Uva techeze v'siv uveleva, and reflect on it and grow old with it. Umina la tazua she'en lecha midat tova hemena, and do not turn away from it, because there's nothing better than it. So what's the it? I'm assuming that we're talking about Torah here. What's the first thing that we notice about this Mishnah as opposed to the others?
He's not a rabbi.
There's no
Right,
numbers.
We've had people, right? So did the previous one have numbers? Yeah.
Well, 5, yeah. This one has no numbers.
True. Mishnah does not have any numbers. It's also Aramaic. This Mishnah is in Aramaic. And I believe I don't recall having other Mishnahs that were in Aramaic. So usually when our texts go to Aramaic, it's because they're almost extra important and they want everybody to understand this, because this is the language of the time, right? When we were in Beth-El, which is why the Gemara is in Aramaic. So you can almost infer that this is extra important.
But okay. But Adam, we're talking about here Aramaic. Wasn't that the everyday language? So it's the same thing as if we do some commentary on the Torah, the Mishnah, the Talmud, whatever, okay, and we do it in English. Or here in Quebec, we do it in French. It's still not the holy language, okay? It's not the holy language, but it's a language, so we're studying it in English. So why would this be more important as opposed to he was just talking to the masses, as opposed to only talking to the disciples and to the people who were learning?
Elliot, as someone that has been on probably every synagogue committee, president of the shul, can you imagine that committee meeting when they were deciding what Mishnahs to put into what they were going to actually codify? Can you imagine someone presenting, we should put the Aramaic one in? And what conflict probably arose from including something that was not Lashon HaKodesh into something that we're saying is Kodesh. So you can imagine that whatever was let in was certainly worthwhile to be let in. That's how I see it.
Okay, say it again. Say it again. I missed it. I'm sorry.
It's fine. If we picture the compiling of the Mishnah, right? Pirkei Avot is the last codified text of Mishnah.
Okay.
Where, Tanaim that lived at a certain time basically agreed. These are the Mishnahs.
Can't hear you.
Me? No?
No, now we can.
Okay. These are the Mishnahs that we're going to compile, and we're going to call this compilation the Mishnah. And so they were very discerning about it, right? And whatever's going to get into what they were, and these are the last ones. So you would think maybe even they were being like the most discerning. This should be in, this should not be in. The fact that they let one in that was not in Hebrew, that was not in the language of learning and prayer, to me, shows the importance of this Mishnah, that they let in one that was in Aramaic, to me says this one was definitely worthwhile getting in, because they even let it in, and it wasn't even in, Lashon HaKodesh. Make sense?
I think just maybe it's just like it's an overview. Okay, review it and review it. So this is an overview to trying to talk to the general population. Okay, stating that we've already learned everything that was very holy, and now I'm telling you, okay, that you should keep reviewing it and reviewing it. And he's doing this because this wasn't part, wasn't part of the Mishnah, it wasn't part of the holy language. And he's talking to the masses. He's talking to the masses to keep reviewing it and reviewing it.
Because
Okay.
it's that important. It's that important of a statement. You need to practice.
He's not teaching you anything new.
Right. And what's the last Mishnah? Here he is. Ben Hehe says, Lefum tsara agra. According to the difficulty of something, that is its own reward.
The more you suffer, the higher the reward.
Not the more you suffer, I would say,
No.
the more you work for something.
I think it's exactly like they say in Yiddish, but the translation to English would be, how you make your bed, that's how you sleep in it.
Mhm.
How you build your life, that's how you have a family. If you don't teach your kids when they're young, you grow old, they have no respect for you, and
Right.
so on. So how you build your life, that's how you enjoy the rest of it.
Right.
So this is how it's translated here. The reward is according to the suffering.
Not suffering, it's how you do your life. If you're teaching your kids Torah and good things and morality, you're not suffering when you're teaching them.
Okay, so
Maybe
what
you're
is the
suffering that you're working hard to provide for them instead of having fun on the cruise ship and leaving them with a nanny. So,
I mean, look, so first of all, the Mishnah does say tsa'ara, right? Which is like, tsa'ar is often translated as suffering.
I don't think so. I'm sorry I can't go on a cruise, but I want to be here with my children.
Right.
Sa'ar?
So I don't know if it's Tsar exactly.
Sa'ara. What does Sa'ara mean? Gail?
Tsar is sorrow.
Sorrow.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. I have to for instance, I have a disabled child. Because of my disabled child, I don't go very often on vacations because he needs me. But I'm enjoying that I'm here for him. But I'm not having fun all the time.
Okay.
It's interesting also that this Mishnah is also in Aramaic, right?
Yeah.
And the two that are in Aramaic are both non-rabbis and both people who have nicknames.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even the same person, two different nicknames for the same
Very
person.
possible. Very, I'm sure.
No, this is the son of Bug, and this other one is the son of Hey.
Mhm.
They're not the son of the same person.
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Or it sounds almost like they're going by the letters of the alphabet, like
Mhm.
Bet and then Hey.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that has a hint. I don't know.
I don't think so.
No. Number 2, number 5.
I'm sure if someone Googles Ben Hey and Ben Bug, maybe.
Okay, I'm Googling.
Okay, I have a bat mitzvah student coming to see me, so I'm going to wish everyone a wonderful day.
Thank you very much. Are we going to do chapter 6 next week? Is there?
Yes, chapter 6.
Oh, as we move forward.
Yeah.
A rabbinic sage and disciple of Hillel the elder during the late Zugot or early Tanaitic period. Aside from single maxim quote at the end of Mishnah, he is not mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Ben
Okay.
Backpack is in Wikipedia. I didn't get to Ben Hey.
All right,